From the News Channel 5 network, this is Que Pasa Nashville.
Bienvenidos and welcome to Que Pasa Nashville. My name is Cristina Oakley and welcome to our show. I have the privilege of having two amazing police officers from Metro Nashville Police Officer. We have Officer Cecilia Gomez and we have Lieutenant Michelle Corker. Is that correct? Coker. Thank you both very much for being on the show. I'm very excited to have you because, whoa, Metro Police is everywhere now. And I understand you're both with the Office of Community Outreach and Partnership Division. And Lieutenant, you are heading that up. What exactly is this division and what's the purpose of it?
So back in December 2020, shortly after Chief Drake took his role as chief, this was one of his babies. We were just birthed right there. One of his first visions, if you will, for the expansion and just resemblance of what Nashville looks like. So he created our division, which is, of course, the Office of Community Outreach and Partnerships. And the purpose of this was to show a reflection of our department towards the community and to get into those communities to where we've had little trust building, partnerships building, to no partnership building. And as you know, the immigrant and refugee communities are very huge with that, especially where they come from. If they're coming over to the United States, and then things that they see with their government, plus things that they may experience on a federal level of seeing in the media, we wanted to highlight something different and show that, look, we see you as a person first. And then secondly, we don't look at your papers. We don't care about that. If you need us for any kind of service, our main goal first and foremost is to serve or protect. So both. But
for them to be able to witness a crime and report it without fear, not just of those without papers, but fear of their perception of their maybe foreign lands of police officers, you're just building trust.
Absolutely. So one of our goals, as we have here, we have several liaisons, and she is one of our stellar liaisons that we have. We have different liaisons such as our Middle Eastern, our immigrant and refugee liaisons, which focuses on our Asian communities, which, you know, there are many different languages spoken within our Asian community. We have our Middle Eastern Kurdish liaison, and of course there's different dialects that are spoken and languages that are spoken there. We have our school liaison who focuses on anywhere between charter, private, higher education, and college level. He's that liaison that focuses on getting people geared towards building the trust with police, and from the start of little kids on up until higher level young adults. We also have an LGBTQ plus liaison, a faith-based liaison. We have a liaison that specifically interacts with our displaced community, our neighbors that are homeless, the ones that may be veterans that have come back from war or who've been home from war for a while that have not been able to be afforded the opportunity for proper housing, medical care. And he also, on top of that, he focuses on the emphasis of your abandoned, abused pets.
Wow, I saw that, the pets. I was trying, yeah, because that is a big part of who they are, and housing is difficult if you have pets. So why was this as an initiative? One, to build trust, but two, to build community within your community. As police officers are now everywhere, we see them in our schools, we see them at the churches, we see them at the malls, but you're the first person we call, and we thank you for that service, but you're the first person we call in anything that happens, but we also need everyone else to call too. And is that the main thing, is just saying, hey, let's go to a festival? Like, how do you do this?
So generally on a day-to-day basis, it is when people come in contact with police, it's generally on maybe their worst day. They never had any kind of interaction with police. And I always use the example of driver's license, proof of insurance, registration. You know, so you could be on your way to work, school, or wherever, and your day could be completely ruined just by a traffic stop within itself. But people, I think they don't identify and see us outside of our uniforms as people as well. So our goal is to just invite us out. If you, and I'm going to look into the camera for this, if you have a cookout or anything like that, please invite us out, because we are all for food partnerships as well. But no, I mean, that's the main thing. And that community trust comes from liaisons like Officer Cecilia Gomez, who is our El Protector liaison. Just getting out there in those communities, building that trust with the community leaders.
And are you all trained in culture intelligence and culture from who you're serving? Or sensitivity?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, whatever you call it. I mean, you are trained in the community you serve.
Yes, definitely.
And you, okay, so Officer Gomez, you are the director of the El Protector program, the protector. Sometimes Spanish is not that hard to translate. But with that position, what exactly, how does that fall into the Community Outreach and Partnership Division?
Well, I'm very fortunate to have worked with the community for a long time, because even though we speak Spanish, you know, we all speak different kinds of Spanish and we have different cultures. And I have a lot of friends and people that are from different areas, so I got to know their culture as well. So that helps me a lot with my program. And the same thing, you know, it's just building that trust with the community, because we do see that because of our culture, the language barrier, all that stuff makes it really hard for people to call us when they need help.
And need help, I mean, domestic violence, I mean, any type of robberies, car accidents, anything like that, we can call. Now, you're fluent. Where are you from originally?
I'm from Argentina.
Argentina, and hablas español?
Sí.
Okay, so you have dual languages. Is there a lot of police officers that speak dual languages?
We do have a good amount of officers in our department that speak both languages.
And then, of course, as they come, you are also recruiting. But back to El Protector, it was started, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago?
Started in 2004.
Okay.
And the program itself started in California in 1983. So it's a program that has been around for a very long time. And the program has been so successful that Metro Nashville Police Department decided to implement it in 2004. And I believe it's a great and very important program.
I will have to say, I helped start that years ago. And when we came together, I think Chief Serpis was here, and it was in New Orleans, and he came from New Orleans. And he understood, because we had that's when we started really seeing our growth of our Latino community. But what do you do now different, or continue to do, to build those relationships with the Latino community, which is different from the refugees, because a lot of our Latinos are undocumented, meaning that you don't have the papers, and there's fear.
Yeah.
But when their children go to our school and we see them at the grocery store, they're still our community.
Yeah, that's definitely true. So a lot of the things that we do is we go to every event, like Lieutenant said. If you have sometimes even a birthday party and they just want us to drive by and say hi to the kids, we go to different events. We create our own events like the back to school program, to, you know, be there helping the community, not only to take police reports, but to provide assistance with other things like food, school supplies, whatever it is that they need.
You guys really both, this your department did a lot with the hunger initiative during COVID.
Yes, we did.
And doing outreach. How was that successful?
That was very successful. I think that, number one, partnering with different other organizations that have the trust of the community helps a lot, because when they see us with them as well, they're like, oh, okay, so if you're working together with this person I trust, then that means I can trust you as well.
Very good.
You know,
it
helps.
It's so true.
And it's the fact that we're not asking questions when we're there. I think that's one of the fears that some people may have, especially, like you said, the undocumented. They may have that fear that they don't want to come to any of the events when they see police there, because generally, rule of thumb, people think that they see police and we are ICE. We are not ICE. We don't arrest and we don't deport. That is not our job.
And let me just clarify this for our viewers. One, as police officers, you enforce the laws. So if you have a traffic violation, you have a traffic violation, regardless of your race, color, you know, preference, gender preference, right? So you're there because you're protecting someone like me that might be driving by. True. And as you do that, you got to know who these people are, because they could be a convict or something, and that's why you ask for license.
Absolutely.
Not just about the vehicle, but just to make sure you are who you are and there's no warrants. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
And so that when people say, why do you need my registration? Well, that's the law. but it's also to make sure you are who you are and you're not, a crime didn't happen and we're not looking for you. They don't know that.
Or the vehicle's not stolen.
There you go. And so you're protecting people like myself outside. So that is the number one reason why police officers pull people over. Now, tickets, that's what it is.
Yeah.
But if there's something, and if you can explain this, if you have to arrest someone, you take them to the sheriff department. And the sheriff department oversees the cells and the jail. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So that's where, if there's reason to get ICE, that's from the sheriff. Police is just to enforce the laws and make everyone safe.
And like I said, our goal when we interact with anyone, regardless of your social, economical status, your background, your cultural background, if you will, just an overall plethora of background, you're a person first, right? Regardless of if you're at your lowest point of your life.
Right.
Our goal for us is to see you as a person and to treat you with empathy, respect, because we don't know what your circumstance is. We don't know what your needs are, and we need to identify what that is to get you the proper help that you may need. But our goal number one is to see you as a person. And so...
Is that culture changing within all police divisions? I mean, not just with George Floyd or any of the issues, the Black Lives Matter, is that we dehumanize police officers, but you're still right beside us every part of our lives. So
I think it's always been like this. It's just that you don't get to see it because you get to see all these other bad part about it. But I mean, I've been on for 8 years, and I worked with the community before I became an officer. So, like, I've been doing this for a long time, way before George Floyd, way before Black Lives Matter. So, our department, and you, how long you've been
16 and a half. There you go.
So, we've been doing a lot of things that people don't know about because, it doesn't get publicized like other bad stuff.
And we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to continue talking with our Metro National Police officers, their community and outreach initiatives, the El Protector program, and how you can get involved as well. We'll be right back with Que Pasa Nashville.